This is Let's Talk Teens, a parenting podcast sharing tips on raising amazing teenagers. We are both certified life coaches that have worked with teenagers as coaches, mentors, and teachers. We are sharing what we have found to work best when dealing with teens and tough issues. This is Let's Talk Teens with Abbi and Cheree, episode 38, Your Teen and Phones, part 2.
Okay, hopefully you just have your wheels turning about how you as a parent can help your teen regulate themselves and regulate their phones and let it, learn to boss their phones. Be the boss of it instead of their phones bossing them. We have some good ideas and tips for you, and hopefully they're helpful to you. I mean, they help us, and again, I think even doing this episode, Abbi, it reminds me that I could do better myself. So here we go. As I preach, I'm like, yeah, and Cheree, let's work on some of these things too. But that's what I think we should start with is I think the very best thing you could do for your teen ever to help them learn to be the boss of their phone is for you to set that example as their parent. It's, if we're like, oh, do what I say, not what I do, it's just not going to work. So if we want our teens to be on their phone less, we need to be on our phones less. If we're wanting them to be more present, we need to be more present. And I think just really checking in and taking just that self-evaluation time every so often being like, yeah, where do I need to improve and talk about it even with your teens. And that's kind of the second part is have a lot of discussions, open discussions about it. Not like this is the way it is, but hey, this is what we know about phones. What do you think we could do better as a family? What are some things we should change? And be open to their ideas and their suggestions
Mhm.
and not just have it be this dictatorship of you have to do this and you have to do this. And then, we're not open to any ideas. Now, we're going to talk about this later. There are some non-negotiables on phones for both Abbi and I, and you as a parent should have them as well, in my opinion. But I think sometimes we also need to be open to their ideas and their experience. And when we give them a voice, they buy in a lot
Yes.
better to it. So,
And to that, Cherie, like an idea that one time, so I used to be really opposed to TikTok and Snapchat. Like
me
just,
too.
the horror stories, I'm like, I hate those. But then something that I thought a mom did so well is when her youth was like, please, mom, like this is really important to me. They decided, okay, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna have a family account. So it's not that the teen had a TikTok account, but that it's a family login. And so mom, dad, anybody like has full access to that TikTok account, to that Snapchat. And so I thought that, wow, that's a really great solution to, yes, they can experience this, but it's monitored in a way like I can get on that at any point and look at that. And so I love that's an example of, teen had feedback, mom and dad had feedback, and then they came together with a win-win solution.
Okay, I think it's important to also create some screen time limits or screen time ages of when you're this old, then you get this social media platform. And so it's just instead of just dumping it all onto them all at once, or okay, your teen's 12 or 13 and you're giving them a phone and now they have every social media app. Their brain isn't quite developed and ready for it. Now we know the prefrontal cortex doesn't develop until they're in their 20s. So I'm not sure that we can wait that long because of the world we live in, me personally, but I think that it's okay to say, you know what? There's certain social media platforms you're not going to get till you're 16 or 17. And I
Hmm.
know that's an unpopular opinion, but it's actually so good to say, hey, we're going to set some age limits and then we're going to set some screen time limits of how much to be on your phone. And that's where I would involve the teen and say, okay, what do you think is a good amount of time? And that your teen also feels like if there's ever a situation where that they are feeling like they need a little bit more time or they'd actually like less time, that would be a shocker, but that they can come talk to you, right? And you as the parent and them as a child can figure out really what's best for them and ask them a lot of questions like, why are you wanting more time? Or what do you think is going to be the benefit? Or how is that going to help you? Or how could that hurt you? And really let them think through that process. I think that's really important.
And with that, I think it's important too to not just do like blanket statements. Now, the seminary teacher in me is coming out, and I would have students, I'd be like, hey, why don't you have your scriptures open, right, on your phone? And they'd be like, oh, I'm out of screen time, like time, and I get like, I'm like, that's an excuse. But I do think like there's things of using your phone that I want my teen to do all day, every day. Using the Gospel Library app all day, every day. You have full permission to be on that.
Absolutely.
FaceTiming grandma, grandpa, FaceTiming a friend. Like, yes. So I think it's important too to talk to your teen about like, I think if we blanket and just say all screens are evil, all time on your phone is, bad, that's not fair or accurate. And so talking to your teen, or even I know we get more and more advanced in our tech, but saying, okay, Instagram's a 30-minute limit, same with YouTube and Facebook, right? But this app is totally free reign. Like, and if I see you on your phone and I give you trouble, just go, oh mom, look, I'm on this app, right? And then be like, oh, okay, right? So I to your point of that, those limits is, I've talked to your teen about, okay, I really have strong feelings about this. What do you think? Because I don't have as strong of feelings when I know you're playing, I don't know, Duolingo and like, learning Spanish or something like that. So talking and having those conversations can go a long way with your teen.
Absolutely. And really, again, I'm just going to like reiterate this because I think it's so important is to really have them know their why for wanting more time or wanting to be
Mhm.
on apps. So, like, why do I really want this? And is it helpful or is it going to hurt me? And as they come up with they're going to buy in a lot easier to that. I think it's really okay. Like for me, one of the non-negotiables for me that I think is really important is there are certain tech-free zones in our house, and that would always be dinner time. Like phones don't go up to the dinner table. We are going to have conversation, and phones are going to be put away. And not just put on the table and turned over, but like not at the dinner table, right?
Mhm.
That's really important because it's so easy to get distracted by them. Maybe it's at bedtime. And Abby, you and I both have talked about like the importance, like for us, like phones do not go in their room at bedtime. Like that is just not something that we're going to allow. And so that's another tech-free zone is bedrooms from a certain period of time on, they were for my teens when they were here at home, they plugged them into our bedroom at night.
But Cheree, I've told you, I've said this a million times in our podcast. Like that is a hill I will die on. Like there's some fights with my teen, I'm like, this really isn't worth it. I will die on the hill of the phones do not sleep in the bedroom with the teen. Um, nothing good comes from having a cell phone in with a teenager. And like, yes, I know we jump to big things like, oh no, they're looking at pornography or they're texting somebody they shouldn't. And like, yeah, I mean that does happen statistically at night when you're alone in your room. But I more just mean they will scroll on their phones for hours and it's affecting sleep. And they will, go down the rabbit hole. They'll look up things, and I get that, there might not even be bad things, but it is just so detrimental to sleep habits and healthy habits for the rest of their life. And so I know I'm so mean for this, but I like that's when I will die on that hill. So if you're gonna pick a battle, I would suggest picking that battle, right? Of like, okay, phones sleep in mom and dad's room after 9 p.m.
Yep, for sure. And whatever your non-negotiables are, stick with them. Stick with them. And you're like we've talked about, you might get a lot of, oh, you're the worst mom or whatever. You're the worst dad, but stick with them because if you like your reason for doing it, that's why I always ask, like, what's your reason for it? If you like your reason, there is then hold to it. Hold to it. I liked my reason on that. That was just safety.
Mm,
I wasn't gonna, ever let my little toddlers run into the street. I'm not gonna let my teens have a phone in their bedroom at night. That's just
mm,
how it goes. I think it's really important to also teach your teen boredom tolerance, right? We kind of talked about that in the last episode, is not every quiet moment needs a distraction. And so teaching your kids to be still, teaching them to sit with that boredom or sit with that quietness and to like have some reflection time. And so maybe that is, just there's a certain time of day where we're just not going to have our phones or we're just going to be still. But teach them that and teach them and like help them learn that, not just this is the rule, but this is why. And I want you to notice what it's like when you don't have your phone. And I want you to notice what it's like when you don't go grab your phone, even though you're bored, and how then those creative wheels can start spinning and you can think of other things that you would like to do or you need to accomplish or you would want to accomplish because you're not just going to that phone and it becomes a time waster. It just does for all of us, right? Dang it, I burned my cookies yesterday, side note, because I was distracted on my phone. And I just said that my husband, I was like, dang it, I burned those cookies. And he's like, what happened? And I'm like, I was totally sucked into my
I
phone.
was on my phone.
Yeah,
Oh, Cheree,
I
that
mean,
sucks.
you would think by this age, but nope, we're still there. Okay, still getting distracted by my phone. So it's just good, just to like, take a minute. Um, Okay, I think it's also really important to teach the importance of when we're kind of feeling sucked into our phone or that phone, we're just really wanting to be on social media, to get to have some physical activity, to go for a walk, to get up and move, to just do something physical because it's so easy to just sit there and just get sucked in. But it's like, okay, we actually need to move our body. We need to find something to do. And I think as a parent, that's kind of a good, maybe even a non-negotiable is just like, okay. And again, you parents, you decide what's best for you in this. But maybe one of the non-negotiables is like, okay, you get your phone in the morning after you've done certain things. Like maybe one of them is exercise, especially in the summer, instead of just like going right to their phone. It's like, hey, let's have some physical exercise or activity, or you can have your phone, but then this hour of day, like everyone needs to get some physical exercise, and we're going to put it away. But there's just really an importance of that physical activity and not just being sedentary and being on our phones all the time.
I think what's so important, and I don't have a great answer on how to do this, so you're gonna be like, well, thanks, Abby. Um, but I think we need to make it so our phones are not the end all be all. It's not the most exciting thing happening in my life. It's not my most wonderful entertainment. And so maybe that's helping teaching the love of reading to your child, right? So that reading a book is the thing that they want to do, or that I love when we all go outside and play kickball, like having fun things. Like I'm such a believer in, instead of being like holding this thing as like it's your most precious thing and I'm taking it away, which guess what? Sometimes we have to do that. But instead going, let's have so much fun as a family that you don't even think about your phone. Let's show you what it's like to have so much fun without your phone, that we go, "Oh my gosh, I would so rather read a book than be on my phone. I would so rather be hanging out with my friends than on this." And I don't always know. I don't think that's a one size fits all, just do this. But I think if we have that general attitude of, okay, I don't want my phone to be the most exciting thing that I get to do all day. And so maybe I'm going to go make cookies, like Cheree said, or maybe I'm going to learn and look into a new book series so that when I do have a break, I go, oh, here's 5 things I would rather do instead of being on my phone.
Yeah, and making that list, what a great idea of like, okay, when I'm bored and I want to go on my phone, here's a list of things I can do. And that helps me so much is when I have a list of like things I need to do in a situation. I mean, I would do that when I'm like, if I'm struggling emotionally or feeling anxious or anything, I'll be like, hey, I have this list I can go to of things I can do that pull me out of it. And I just think that's so important. So it's like, hey, when I'm bored, here's some things I can do. And then I don't need to go to my phone. Have your kids create that list. I promise you it will be a game changer. I think it's also important as parents to have a plan for when your teenager has a tantrum about like your rules with the phone or they have withdrawal symptoms. If you've kind of pulled back, that withdrawal symptoms are for sure going to come. So have a plan for you as a parent because it's going to come. And if you don't have a plan, it might throw you and you're going to give in,
Yeah.
right? Because you're like, I want this to go away. I want this tantrum to go away. I want their withdrawal symptoms to go. I just want to give it to them. And so I would say as a parent, that's also a plan that needs to be in place. Maybe your kids need to make a plan of what to do when they're bored instead of their phone. And as you as a parent need to make a plan of, okay, when my teen reacts this way from their phone usage, how am I going to handle it so I don't just cave and give into it? I think that's really important.
And the good news is, if your teens are young, or if the phone is a brand new maybe thing ahead of them, um, I, that is so easy to help rein in those expectations, to rein that in, right? And then you don't experience those tantrums, right? Now, on the flip side, you might be going, oh my goodness, like my teen has full reign on their phone. They always have, right? Those, you can expect that those tantrums, withdraw, all that is going to be really big and they're going to be huge and they're going to be so mad at you. But just know that, right? I feel like that's so empowering to go, okay, they are going to freak out and be ticked at me for weeks, maybe, and that's okay. And so just know, kind of depending on maybe how lax we've been on the phone or how young they got a smartphone, right? All those kind of things. You might expect bigger reactions, but it's okay. It's never too late. Never too late to implement new rules, to try new parenting techniques, and to pull back on the phone. And you're going to expect big emotions, and so it's not going to surprise you.
Absolutely. And I love that. It's never too late. I always say it's never too early and it's never too late. This is like this knowledge, what you've heard us talk about these last few episodes, hopefully has just kind of helped you see something that maybe needs to change. And if I were to guess, I would guess that every single one of us that owns a phone, there is something to change in our behavior with the phone. And so what a great time to just take a look, maybe have a little family discussion about it of like, how are we using our phones? Is there something that needs to change? What can we do better? What would help us, be a stronger human being or a stronger family or, better ourselves so that we could change with the phone.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Teens with Cheree Murdock and Abbi Winslow. If you are looking for more tips to help your teenager, here's where you can find us. You can find Cheree Murdock on Instagram at Cheree Murdock Coaching or on her website, ChereeMurdock.com. You can find me, Abbi, on Instagram as Abbi Winslow or on my website, AbbiWinslow.com. Please rate and review our podcast and share with a fellow parent. Thanks for listening.